But anyways, next topic. So we want to talk about the Boruto movie novelization and whether that's canon in any way.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, do you want me to? You know what? You can start this time. Why don't you think it's canon? Well, I'm making a positive claim, so I'll actually start then. Okay. So, the Boruto movie novelization is actually canon, right? Because it's on the official corporate canon timeline, right? And also, Kishimoto himself actually was involved in it. He either co-wrote it or he actually supervised it. This is one of the major reasons why the novels are like considered canon within Naruto, right? It's only on the actual like timeline. And I know some people have actually been saying, oh well, it's outdated or something, right? But it's not, because it hasn't been retconned, right? Because it's a new timeline. This timeline came out about early last year. So it would have been past, and it would have been past all of this other stuff, right? But that supposedly, right, retconned it. So we know that it's not been retconned because it's shown alongside the Rasuda novels, and those are quite new. And yeah, that was my opening statement.
So retcon is when the novel is different to the anime or the manga or the film, and
it's when something is changed. When like, let's say like
and so it has changed. And from the novels, it's never stated once that Momoshiki, for example, created a parallel dimension in the actual manga or the anime. So that particular topic would be a change.
The movie novelizing, right? And the thing is, it's not a retcon, because a retcon is when two events happen, right? And then one event like takes like priority over it. But this is like a completely separate feat. So to debunk it, you need a contradiction, right?
Yeah, and the contradiction is that you've never seen any creation feats within the manga or the anime or the movie itself.
Well, actually, it makes sense in the context, because technically Kaguya can also make...
No, but context is different to actual panel evidence. There is no panel stating what it states in the actual novel. Yes, it does, because that's what it means to be retconned. If it wasn't included in the major story, because what actually happens in Boruto anime from chapters 7 to 9 in the manga is that it recaps everything that's supposed to be happening in the novel. And in that novel, it purposely takes out specific parts. And even if you go on to some of the different English translations of the site, like Naruto Fandom, they pulled out all the most important events that were in the novel and translation of it, and they never mentioned parallel dimension creation.
Okay, no offense, but you bringing up a fandom doesn't matter.
It's not just the fandom; it's also translations. It's like whatever, however way you want to look at it. It was, but even in the official manga, the manga was based off the main story.
Right? Can you let me speak?
But it wasn't actually mentioned.
Right? You can literally go on there right now and edit things on the fandom. So I could go there and write whatever the fuck I wanted, right?
No, you can't. Not on that one. Not on the one that I'm talking about.
On the one, on most fandom, like take the Naruto wiki, right?
Yeah, most fandoms, but on the Narutopedia, you can't.
Okay, but fans have actually written the actual thing, right? It holds no value. You're appealing to authority, right? Because like they're not some sort of like authority. They didn't write Naruto.
I'm not appealing to authority. I stated that in the Boruto manga, they specifically took it out from chapters 7 to 9. I've read through the whole thing, and I can.
I'm just referring to that one thing you used, right? About the whole fandom thing. You said, oh, well, they don't use it.
And I'm referring to all the things you used. It's not, you said in order to be retconned, it has to be different to the story. It is different. It's no longer in there anymore.
It's it's not like they removed it. It's not like it was
I'm just using your own points. You said that it had to be different, and I'm proving it is. If you read through Boruto chapters 7 to 9, it's never mentioned.
Okay, look. If you actually know, because it's not like it was there originally and they retconned it. It's like an extended version of a fight.
That's the definition of retcon. Do you want to bring that up?
Okay, please get the definition. And I can prove why it's not retconned anyways. You'll see what I mean.
This is just a Google. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, just where you sending it?
I was going to send it to Scans.
Where's that?
I can send it somewhere else. Hang on.
Where the fuck? Where's Scans?
Actually, that's a good point. Where did it go?
Okay. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay. Cool.
Hold on. I can't send anything in there. Is there a reason for that?
Do you have like the role or like?
I can send things to Calcs, but I can't send things to scans.
Yeah, I'll just go to Calcs.
I sent it to Calcs. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Calc. Yeah, scans is not working for me for some reason.
So look, it's a different exactly. Now, if you read the actual like definition you gave, it's like new information that imposes a different interpretation of described events. So if we're talking about that single thing, it's not like it was there originally and it replaces it. You're talking about the whole thing. You're talking about it as a whole. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because if you actually look at the timeline, the actual movie novelization is still on the timeline, right? They haven't replaced it. They haven't got rid of it, meaning they still consider it canon.
Retrospectively, we're looking at different interpretation on previously described events, and so the interpretation was different.
About a single event. We're talking about him draining the thing that wasn't there before. That's completely
There's
different.
multiple events that weren't mentioned in the novel, or that is mentioned in the novel. Sorry, that is not mentioned in the manga. So it completely changed, and then it doesn't repeat it again as a further confirmation in the anime itself. So you're relying totally on just the book alone. That's a good way to know that it's revised fiction.
Even if a book had it, it's an extended version, right? So nothing's been like actually changed. It's just a completely separate feat, right? It's not like there was another feat and they replaced it with that. And now this actual book is still canon. They haven't retconned it because it's shown alongside the Rasuda novels that came out recently. It came out early last year, right? And that was after all this other retcon stuff, meaning they haven't actually retconned it yet. Sorry, this supposed retcon, which didn't happen because it still stayed as canon on the corporate canon timeline. And now, why we consider things canon on a canon corporate timeline is because it has to be like canon on a corporate level. Because if it isn't, it makes it difficult for like the actual company who is making it, right? When they're releasing all these novels, and that's one of the main reasons the novels are actually shown as canon, right? And Kishimoto himself actually was involved in this novel. He actually supervised it. He supervises all of them.
And it's also shown that Kishimoto himself has changed things in the past. But even still, the only thing that I'm specifically talking about that he's changed is the claims that are in the novel don't exist within the main Boruto manga, because the Boruto manga it is changed because it explains the exact same set of events. It explains the exact same set of events. So we can actually look at a direct panel if you would like. Let's look at a direct panel from the novel, and I'll show you how it's different. Okay.
No, it doesn't even have to be different. It's a completely separate thing that's been added. Because if you
what do you mean it has to be different?
Right? Okay, look, if you look at the original movie that came out, right? The original movie didn't have it either. This had it afterwards.
Yeah, because they didn't think that it was part of the main story anymore.
Look, this is a problem, right? The novel came out after the original movie, right? Okay. And when it came out afterwards, right? It's not like they had added it or removed it or anything. If anything, they'd added it and they didn't include it in the anime, right? Or manga, right? But it doesn't matter because it's canon.
It does matter because there's three credible sources, which is films, anime, manga, and they all didn't include anything that you're saying from the novel. There are some parts in the novel that were included.
Consider it like alternate canon or something, but it's still canon to some degree.
So you agreed that it was alternate canon then?
No, I don't know, because that's not the premise. The premise is
But no, you brought that up. You said that it was alternate canon. That would mean it's retconned.
What do you mean alternate canon?
Because you said that's what retcon means. If it's a different or alternative story,
I said
that's
some people
retcon.
consider that I'm rebuttaling it, right?
Okay.
I'm saying that it's not because it's on the official canon timeline, right? And it has been retconned because it's on the official timeline, right? The new official timeline, which happens afterwards, meaning that it's a separate thing. Does that make sense?
Just because it's separate doesn't mean that it's this actual main story. Because the Boruto manga takes precedence over most things.
Take the data book, right?
The manga, generally speaking, clarifies anything that didn't happen in other things that doesn't make sense. The data books usually support the manga as well.
No, if a data book actually goes into more detail about something happening, right, or talks about like this other thing that could be possible, right, we will still consider that canon because the actual data book is canon. It doesn't actually, the feat itself doesn't.
So what are you trying to prove from the data books? You can share the panel if you like.
This is what I'm trying to say. When we talk about things like this, right, let's talk about a principle of consistency, right? And you have all of these things because in Japan they don't actually have like a main canon or anything, right? They consider like everything. that is official, like canon, right? And where I'm going with this, right, is that you will have feats and stuff. Like,
do you have something to support that statement?
But the data book might say something.
So you have no evidence to support that. In Japan, they always have non-canon.
No, because it's written. No, the data book is completely canon. But if the actual like author writes something, right, we have to like take that like face value, right? I know, okay, it doesn't actually need to be supporting evidence or whatever, but if it's not for you to rebut something, there needs to be.
It is contradictory because it's headcanon to the main story, and I can explain how it's a contradiction to the story.
How's it a contradiction?
Because it was never mentioned.
But
in the main Boruto manga.
Because you're claiming it changed. That's the contradiction, but it wasn't. Because it's an extended version of a fight. It's an extra feat. Take, for example, the actual data book. If a feat doesn't happen in the manga, but then the data book states, right, oh, a character can do this, right? Let's say if the data book says a character can blow up a star, right? This is just an example, right? And it doesn't happen in the manga, but it doesn't mean they're not capable of it. That is still a canon statement. Do you understand the actual statement itself being canon?
Wait, what did you say? The data books.
Okay, look.
It's different to the manga.
If the data book
says
don't
make it canon.
It's just an example. I'm not saying this actually happens in Naruto. If a data book says, right, a character can blow up a star, right, but it's not shown in the manga, right, or in the anime, the actual statement itself, right, for that data book, which is written by the author, would still be canon.
Unless if it's only a name title, or if it's just one of the exaggerated hyperboles. There's multiple exceptions to that particular statement. And in this case, it's definitely one of those outliers. It's definitely not considered a main point. Even if it was, it's still far too headcanon to be included in part of the main story. That's why it was changed. Otherwise, maybe
arguing if the actual feat itself is canon, which it is. Because I gave you an example. If something is stated, right, like take the data book, right. If it's stated that a character
I was talking about the topic of that there's actually parts in the novel that aren't canon.
The statement will still be canon. I think that's a good example. All right.
There's many parts in the novel that are canon, and that includes the stuff that was included in Boruto, the manga, the anime, and the film. Whereas what you're saying is that everything in the novel was canon, but it's no different to a filler. In a filler episode, you sometimes it's mixed canon because anything that was included in the manga is considered canon, but things that weren't included in the manga and it's just added information is considered filler. That's what a mixed canon or mixed filler is.
Actually,
so you could argue that this is mixed filler, or your book is like part filler.
Let me finish. You can claim that some fillers are canon, right? Because maybe Kishimoto is more involved in them or something, right? But if you have a certain feat, right, that is contradicted, right, then you can kind of claim that it's not right. But in this case, right, it's not contradicted because it's a declarative statement, right? And there's nothing saying otherwise, right, to this. And I gave you that example of a data book. If a data book makes a declarative statement, right, and an actual statement is canon, it would still be canon. It's not like the feat. You just ignore it or something, and it wouldn't be considered canon. Maybe you could claim it's an outlier, but that's not what we're debating here. We're debating whether the actual feat is canon. The actual statement of
and the feat is not canon because it was taken out of 3 credible sources. We've only got one particular source that stated it. No, just let me add another point. In the Japanese book itself, it's no longer sold. You can buy it. There's 1 copy left, and you can go try to buy it now. But the fact that even in the Japanese raw text of this book, it was not considered important enough to mass produce, and they never translated it officially into English. Why do you think? No, hang on. Let me finish that. Why do you think they prioritize translating the Boruto movie, the Boruto manga, and who the fuck is that making that sound? Why did they prioritize translating those things, and they didn't include the exact statement that you're talking of?
Okay, now this is completely different. This is a completely different topic because what they usually.
No, it's the same because you're saying that it's not. It is canon when it clearly isn't because it hasn't been translated.
The reason they haven't done it yet is because it wasn't that popular. It has to be really popular in order for them to kind of translate it. Plus, they still translate.
You're agreeing that it's not popular enough to be the main canon.
I'm gonna debunk you, right? Because take the 4th Ninja data book, right, for Naruto. That hasn't been officially translated. Does that make it any less canon? Do people not care about that?
The fourth official data book has not been translated.
Boruto,
no.
Yeah, the one with like all of the main stuff about Kaguya's like realm busting, etc. You know, the one that everybody knows about. That hasn't been officially translated.
And neither has the first or second.
Exactly. Does that mean that they're not canon? It's kind of a dumb argument, right? It's saying, oh well, it hasn't been officially translated, so it's not canon. What kind of logic is that?
But it's the same logic as if you're trying to base your argument off a fan translation panel that is not necessarily from the actual book.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, well, it does matter. What do you have the raw Japanese that states that particular panel actually says what it says in the fan translation? Because here's a fourth point, is that even if it was somehow found in the books, no one has ever shown that it actually came in the Japanese one. Because this is the thing with the fan translation.
Happy, what was my premise?
Your premise was that, hang on, let me bring it up again. You're claiming that the movie novelization is a valid source?
Yeah, the movie
novelization. Is that your exact premise? Because mine was the opposite.
I'm not talking about that certain scan or anything. Basically, if I wanted to, right, I could bring up kanji for any point, right, from the movie, right? I don't need that certain thing there. Because we're not talking about that specific feat, right? We're talking about like the whole like thingy. I was just using that as an example, right? It could be literally any feat from the actual like from a movie novelization. We're talking about why the movie novelization is considered canon. Now you still haven't rebutted. It's still on official corporate.
I did say that anything that is in a filler doesn't necessarily make it canon.
I rebutted your whole thing about you saying well, if it's like not been translated, right, it's not canon. I rebutted that. I also rebutted the whole point about you kind of bringing up the, you know how you were kind of talking about, well, the feat there has to be like, I talked about, you said you had a contradiction or something, but there was no contradiction because it was like an extended...
in 3 different credible sources there is a contradiction. You're ignoring that.
I debunked that by the analogy, right, that if a data book states, if it makes a declarative statement, right, let's say it says, I'm not saying that this is the truth, but if it says somebody can blow up the sun, right, the actual statement will still be canon.
Well, I can also counter debunk that. Is that with the data books themselves, yes, it does matter. It's because in the data books it says, for example, Kurama is planetary, but then in the actual panel itself, plus the manga, plus the anime, they all don't show any feats of that being supported. They do show other things. So you agree that it is a hyperbole, and sometimes it's over-exaggerated, and sometimes it's not literal.
Okay, I'm going to debunk this, right? It being a hyperbole doesn't matter. Okay, you can say it's hyperbole, but the actual statement is canon. I'm trying to prove it's canon. It doesn't matter if it's hyperbole.
You agree that there can be hyperboles and that some statements aren't always as it is.
What is my... Do you know what my premise is? I'm trying to prove that it's canon. I don't care. It doesn't matter if it's canon. I mean, sorry, it doesn't matter. Sorry, no, rephrase that. It doesn't matter if it's like a hyperbole, an outlier. As long as I'm claiming that it's actually canon.
No. Your argument was that the data books, because they weren't translated, that doesn't necessarily make them non-canon. But what I was saying is that not everything in the data books, even though they are canon, are justified within the manga or the anime.
It doesn't matter.
And this is the same with this particular topic, is that the novel itself is not justified within the anime or the manga, and in the context of the story, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't need to make sense, right? Because the actual statement is canon. The book itself, right?
If it doesn't make sense to the writer, he can remove it in the actual main manga or anime.
Alright, now. Alright, wait, hold on. So, in the middle of it, I'm just going to let y'all know how shit, like, arguments are, right? Wait, I'm gonna let you know what your arguments are, right? So, Bullet, you're just basically saying, unless the novels are just add-ons, right? And unless they're contradicted, they're canon. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And Happy, your argument's basically that like the manga and anime, right, have to back up what the novel is saying. Is that your argument?
That's not even okay. Yeah.
Is that your argument, Happy?
And otherwise, whatever's considered that's not in the anime or the manga and supported by those is not considered canon.
You're talking about if it's consistent. That doesn't matter. I'm just claiming it's canon.
Like a filler episode. Like a filler episode sometimes has canon manga stuff, and then whatever else isn't from the manga is considered filler or mixed canon.
No, this is different. This is an entire book. Take the data book. It's like the data book a little bit. Like the data book doesn't need to be officially translated for it to be canon. And if a data book has like some sort of we can use the principle of consistency here, right? Just because it's like one contradiction in the work, right, doesn't make it not.
It's
valid.
3 contradictions. It was not repeated in 3 different situations.
If I said in the manga there's a contradiction and that's not canon, but it wouldn't work like that because of the principle of like consistency, right? I think Immanuel Kant talked about this, right? So like when you have like multiple sources and stuff, right, you want to kind of apply it to everything, especially in this case if it's like no contradiction. Because the reason I'm saying there's like no contradiction is because not only is this like an extended version of something, but it's not contradicted. Like take the actual take the like I've used.
Do you have anything that supports from the manga or the anime that there's no contradiction in the statements?
Look, I gave you a perfect.
So they don't need to be in the manga at all.
This is all I need, right? I need that one analogy saying that if the data book states, right, it doesn't matter like where it states it. Let's say it states it in like the main text or whatever, right? That character can blow up a star, right? If that's stated, right, that actual statement, because it was written by the author, becomes canon. It doesn't matter if it's like a hyperbole or if it's inconsistent or whatever, right? That feat would become canon based off that. Whether it's like not like consistent or hyperbole is up to like that's a completely different debate. And you keep on going back to that, and I'm like, that's not relevant to my actual premise.
So I'm gonna send you some of the exact statements from the Boruto manga from chapter 7, and it goes over the exact wording that happens in the part of the book, right? But it particularly missed out stuff from the novel. So that this is a perfect example of how the novel isn't always followed, and it's completely changed the story because the same set of events were recapped and mentioned in a different way. So this particular panel.
Okay, you know what? You haven't actually rebutted. I've rebutted like literally every point, right? But you haven't actually rebutted the corporate canon timeline. Can you address that? Is that canon? The corporate canon timeline, which is actually
for
new.
What?
It came out like early last year. You know what the corporate canon timeline is?
Are you talking about the little pictures that display which books are canon and which are not?
Yeah. The one with the timeline and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's on the corporate canon timeline.
Do you have it to share?
Yeah. Do you want it? Okay, I'm going to send it, right? Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Where would it be? Actually, you know, I'm actually going to bring up something even more. I'm going to bring up that and something else to make it even more interesting.
So we're just going to concede that point, or?
No, wait, no, it's not over. What are you talking about? I need
that particular point that you said that there was a timeline.
Yes, I'm sending that as well, but like I'm sending like multiple scans.
He's just basically saying he has more points he wants to bring up too.
Yeah,
that's basically what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah, to kind of end this. What's this other called?
And Happy, you said you sent scans.
I was going to, but he
I'm gonna send it to Calcs,
cut me off. But I can send them now if you want.
Oh yeah. Send us in Calcs or whatever I need to send it in.
All right, so I'm sending these. These are just chapter pages from the Boruto manga, chapter 7, and you can read along from the book. I'm going to send a panel that basically recounts the exact same events that are here, but it particularly takes out did 2 panels send? Okay, cool. It takes out the part that mentions anything to do with Momoshiki creating a parallel dimension or anything like that.
I'm just asking, like, this, I don't know like how relevant this is, right? But do you know what came out first, the novel or the manga?
I think it was the novel, and then the manga was based off the novel. But from what I've seen, it was retcon. In other words, they changed it.
Okay, look, guys, what you're looking at here, right, is a corporate canon timeline, right, for Naruto, right? Now, the first scan here, right, shows you like a timeline. This is the old timeline, right? And it has the Boruto movie novelization at the end, and it talks about like it being canon. Now, in the second scan, this is an updated version because we see the Resuden series, right? So clearly here, what we're seeing, right, is that like they still consider it canon. If it wasn't canon, they would remove it. And this is the scan.
And they did.
The main scan
They did remove it, and that's what I'm going to show.
Well, it's
so
right there.
We've got Momoshiki get passed into. Okay, so here we go.
Which is past the actual anime. So it would be newer than any version of the fight.
So let's. I think it was chapter 9, wasn't it? I'm just quickly taking this Kinshiki panel that I shared before, where it's talking about Momoshiki eating Kinshiki, and it says, hang on, let me quickly read it just so I can show the exact statement. How my clan does it, let me show you. And then he eats Kinshiki, right? This is from the same book, and it goes into the same panel that I think you're referring to, which was the star draining plus the parallel dimension being mentioned. So
that's the Hoshi thing.
I had to use the, where is it? Kinshiki dried up and rotted away. Kinshiki let out a scream.
You do okay. This is what I want to establish. You do realize when this happened, Sasuke was like the only one who could see it. Sasuke was the only one. Now we're talking about that feat, right? Sasuke was the only one who could actually see it, right? It was like a stream of chakra. So it could still have happened in this version of it. We just don't see it. And that's what I'm trying to say, right? Let's say like in the dialogue or something, that he has like an ability, right? That we just don't see, right? That ability, we wouldn't be like, that ability is not canon now. Just based off that.
All right, so this is the panel that people always send me.
Guys,
there's Momoshiki who had passed from being an ogre into a comrade, whatever, and then began to suck in the chakra from his surroundings. He was even draining the chakra that was beyond the parallel dimension. And then if we read just the section right before it, it says the transfer of power, that is our clan's law. Momoshiki said, and then ate the pills that had been created from Kinshiki. So if we look at the two panels that I just shared, how it talks about how my clan does it, let me show you, and then he eats Kinshiki. This is talking about the same set of events, but this next section, this entire section was never mentioned in the exact same set of events in the Boruto manga. So that's what makes it different. It's completely different. The story has changed, and that's what I mean by it's been retconned.
Nobody else sees it, right?
And it's been changed in the manga, the anime, and the film of the actual novel itself.
Okay, no, let's address this first, right? The novel actually comes out after the movie, right? So if anything, it would be like a retcon to the movie, whatever. We're not talking about the movie. We're talking about the anime and manga, right? Now, it doesn't need to be in anime or manga, and this is what I'm trying to get onto, right? I'm trying to say that it was actually Sasuke, right, who used his Rinnegan, right, because he stated his Rinnegan, to clearly see the stream, meaning that like Sasuke was the only one who could see it.
Do you have a panel for that in the manga? Because they don't actually mention that at all.
No, it doesn't need to be mentioned. This is what I'm
yes, it does, because they took it out completely.
No, Sasuke. Look,
if you go to the next chapter, or even in the same chapter of chapter 7, it never mentions him being able to see anything. There's a reason for that. It changed.
We just don't see it from his perspective.
No. You see him. You see him standing there for a long time, and he's not using it. Okay. No, do you want me to post the whole of chapter 8? There isn't once that he ever sees any stream going towards Momoshiki.
He doesn't need to see a stream, right? Like I could look at Sasuke. Right?
So you're agreeing that it's not in the manga at all? It's not in the manga then?
Listen to me.
You agree that it's not in the manga?
But you're not gonna see from Sasuke's perspective.
Are you going to ignore my question? Do you agree that it's not in the manga?
Do I agree that it's not in the manga? It doesn't need to be in the manga. I've already addressed it.
So you're well, in other words, you agree. It's not in the manga, so the story has changed.
That doesn't make it not in the manga doesn't make it non-canon. If something's not in the manga, and right, let's say it's in the.
So you're saying that fillers are canon? Is that what would you include fillers in that statement as well? Would you include fillers? Would you include novels? Would you include anything that was stated to be a filler, even to be canon?
It would be a case by case thing. I couldn't.
So it could be a case by case. Like this case, it's very different.
No, it's not, because the reason is
it is different because it wasn't actually mentioned. You said yourself, if it was a different or change in the story, then it wouldn't be canon.
It's not a change. We just don't see it. Right?
It is a change.
We don't see it. It's because we don't see from Sasuke's perspective.
No, we do. You actually do see. You see Sasuke,
and he's from his vision. Okay, look, I can look at Sasuke.
Well, let's bring out some of chapter 8 then. Do you want to pulse exactly what you're talking about? Where does it show we never see Sasuke's perspective? Because from what I remember in chapter 7 and 8, Sasuke specifically starts talking about Boruto, and he says, "Hey, maybe we should use your ability, because what I'm seeing here is your ability has an effect on Momoshiki." So this is from Sasuke's perspective. It starts talking from his perspective. It mentions what he's thinking, what he's seeing, but it never mentions that he sees the stream of chakra that you're stating. That is a change to the story. What it does mention, it mentions Boruto using the vanishing Rasengan. And even if you look in the actual novel that you're trying to claim is canon itself, it recounts the events of that exact Boruto using his Rasengan. So the fact that they included the Boruto part where he's using the Rasengan shows that that part that you're talking about specifically in isolation was taken out.
No, because this is what you're claiming, that it was from his perspective. It was just because I'm looking at a character.
What do you mean it wasn't from his perspective? There's plenty of panels from Sasuke's perspective that they're actually going over the same set of events. They just didn't include the ones you're talking about.
Okay, look, Sasuke is the one who sees the stream, right? Nobody else actually sees the stream because he uses his.
Where does it say that in the manga?
It doesn't. Okay, look, I'm just talking about the novel, and then I'm going to explain how it kind of relates. I think.
Yeah, so explain to me how that fits in and whether they actually put that.
How it fits in, right? And because the thing is, if I prove why it fits in, right, then there's no contradiction. So
yeah,
look,
but then that would lead into our next debate.
Okay, look. Sasuke actually sees the stream using his Rinnegan, whatever, right? Meaning that, he sees it, right? And it's like, you need a Rinnegan to see it, hence he's activating the Rinnegan. So nobody else sees it, right? But now, in the actual anime and movie, right? No, sorry. In the anime and manga, right? We don't actually see from Sasuke's perspective. We hear him talking. But just because I'm looking at somebody and hearing them talk, right, doesn't mean I'm seeing something from their perspective. And like I said, I use that analogy of the data book, right? If something's stated...
Do you have a panel to support that
No, you don't actually need something declarative.
What do you mean you don't need? Because it's the same set of events. So if what you're saying is true, it should be in the manga.
No, because look, the thing is, right? If it's perfectly.
What do you mean? Look, I'm looking right now, and what you're saying is completely contradicted. Do you want me to share some panels or something to prove that you do see from Sasuke's perspective, and he does comment on what's going on in the events?
Okay, how is it contradicted?
Because you're saying that you never see from Sasuke's perspective, but you literally see him zoom in on Sasuke, and then it goes to see what he's looking at.
You're saying it zooms into Sasuke's face, right? And he's
but then it also goes from his view of Momoshiki and what he's seeing, and what it focuses on.
Are you saying from his eyes? Like
yes. Correct. That's what I'm saying. Is like I don't understand where you've gotten.
Okay.
In all of chapter 8. You consistently see Sasuke looking. You do.
No, but do we see it from his perspective?
Can you prove that he doesn't? Because he does.
Okay, can you send the scan? You're making a claim, right? Send the scan.
I'm doing I have to copy all of chapter 8 because there's literally like 20 different times that he's talking from his perspective.
No, I don't care if he's talking. I want to see from his perspective because I could see somebody talking, right? But it doesn't mean I'm seeing it from their perspective.
Hold on, I'm copying about 12 panels. And I got to send it to...
I just want to see the panel or the panels where he...
Yeah, hold up. Calm down. All right, so... Where's this calcs, is it? This is pretty much just any part with Sasuke from chapter 8, right? And you can see him talking and discussing the fight. Analyzing it. I sent it to Calcs.
Wait, Calcs? I'm in Calcs right now. Where is it? The actual manga scan. Oh wait, yeah, it's coming through.
So I think if you look specifically at
where's it from Sasuke's perspective?
You can read through half of them if you want.
This is from Boruto's perspective. I can't wimp out now when he's looking at.
Look at this. You'll need to do it. This is Sasuke, and then it faces in the direction of what he's seeing. He's looking at Momoshiki. He's looking at Boruto, and so he's analyzing the entire situation. There's more panels though. He literally says,
no.
He even talks about where the only way that you win this fight is based on using the.
Bro, like, look, you claimed, right? You claimed that he saw the stream and it was and like from his.
No, I did not claim that he saw the stream. I'm claiming that he was looking at Momoshiki, he was analyzing him, and he never mentioned the stream. That was what I stated. You just strawman me.
No, this is what I'm saying. While he was transforming, right? Did Sasuke look at him and was it shown from his perspective while he was looking at the transformation?
How's that relevant?
Because that's the thing. That's actually when the feat happens, when he's transforming. Why are you showing me a random panel?
Can you show me that? That's exactly when that happens. He's looking at the stream because I shared the text. I shared the text, and in that text, it was straight after him eating kinshiki.
Yes,
and this is straight after eating kinshiki, and it's not there. That's what I'm telling you. It's the same set of events. He's analyzing what's happening on. No. From the text that I sent from the novel, it states that he ate kinshiki. This is the way our clan does it. It is the same as the 2 panels that I shared from chapter 7, explaining the same set of events. And then in the novel, right, it talks about draining stars and seeing a stream from Sasuke's Rinnegan, and it talks about creating parallel dimensions. But I've shared the chapter directly after, and it doesn't mention any of those feats straight away, as it does in the novel. Therefore, it's completely removed.
Well, no, because I asked for a certain scan. I asked for, do you know when he was draining?
Why am I looking for scans to support your claim that the thing is official?
Dude, I'm claiming, right, that when it happens, we never see it from Sasuke's perspective. And look, the scans you've sent actually prove it when he's transforming. We don't see it from Sasuke's perspective. We just see Sasuke rushing at him. But I can look at somebody, right?
I can send you more scans. There's far more scans that support what I'm saying. But you can't find it because it doesn't exist in the thing. Thank you for accepting that.
No, you're the one claiming that when he's looking at him and stuff is from Sasuke's perspective.
He is looking at him. Look at it. Look at this one.
Listen to my claim. My claim is when it actually happens, when Momoshiki absorbs all of his stuff, right? Sasuke's the only one who can see it, and we never actually see from Sasuke's perspective, so we don't know if it happens. Because if you look at the novel, right, it's the narrator.
What are you talking about? There's multiple times in the exact chapter where you can see Sasuke looking at Momoshiki, and he's analyzing the situation.
No, because look, the novel says, right, but it's actually from the perspective of the actual narrator. Sorry, the narrator is saying that he's absorbing all of this stuff or whatever, right? And then what happens is, right, we go back to the manga. Yeah, the narrator also states that it's from Sasuke's perspective. He's the one using his Rinnegan to see the stream, right? But in the actual manga and anime, right, the reason we don't see it is because we don't see it from Sasuke's perspective. He's the only one who can see it. So there's no contradiction. There doesn't need to be.
All right, so here is.
Because the thing is, I just need to prove that it makes sense. If it's possible in this case at all, right? If it's possible, right?
So wait, okay, let me get the what are you trying to say? You what exact event are you talking about? That when do you place Sasuke supposedly seeing the stream? When in the manga, if you had to chuck it in somewhere, what exact event?
It happens when he's eating the chakra thing. Remember, like the whole transformation scene.
Yeah. So in the entirety of chapter 8. And then straight after, he is looking at Momoshiki. He's analyzing him. Okay, and I've got some more scans. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. I've got more scans. This is Sasuke analyzing the entire fight. Okay, and
but he never said anything in the novel, so he didn't say anything in the manga. It's not inconsistent.
What are you talking about?
It's not inconsistent because look in the manga, right?
No, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so in the novel, right, he doesn't actually state that I can see all of his stream stuff. That's that's a narrative thing. That's a narrator speaking, right? And then what happens is, right, in the actual anime and manga, right, he doesn't state anything, so it's consistent with that. It's just happening. Sasuke is the one seeing this. The narrator is trying to tell us that Sasuke can see his streams and stuff. But that's not stated in the manga because we see it's happening from Sasuke's perspective, right? But we don't actually see his perspective from the actual manga and the anime. So there's no actual contradiction or anything. It makes sense in this case. As long as it actually fits into the actual narrative, right? Then there's no contradiction.
All right,
as long
so
as there can be
you can
some
only
sort of,
upload
as long as
10
it's possible.
What? Why can't I upload more than? Okay, well, I'm gonna have to do this in.
So you're gonna.
sections.
This is the only way you can prove that it didn't happen. You're gonna have to show it from Sasuke looking at Momoshiki, right, while he's transforming.
Yeah, I'm about to do that.
Okay.
Wait, transforming. What's the transforming part got to do with it?
It's what you stated. It happens when he like eats the fruit and he's like transforming. It's right after he's transformed. He's
No. I said it happened after, as it does exactly in the book.
Okay, fine. It happens after.
So that's why I'm saying after he transforms, the immediate things that happen is that they.
It happens right after the transformation, right?
Let's see how much further. Actually, I think it's a bit after.
In the actual novel, it states like
so it says that,
and then he does this instantly. So you need a scan.
Where
right
is it? Transfer of power, that is our clan's law. Momoshiki said and ate the Cinnaba Pansia pills that had been created from Kinshiki. The color of his flesh changed. Chakra spurted out from all of his body. From the very beginning, this star was our Utskutsi seed pole. Yeah, he held came now from the time he was truly an ogre. Those who would eat the soul of someone who'd been like a father couldn't be anything. So this is like significantly later. It's not straight after. Well, it's still going. It's still going. Momoshiki, who had passed from being an ogre into a comrade-eating fiend, transformed to inhuman, began from his surroundings. So that's where it would be. So there would be like in the panels directly after. So no, so that's what I shared. I literally shared panels pretty much directly after, but there's nothing that claimed that he was actually draining chakra.
The panels that you showed, right? The panels
it's from chapter 8. He transforms in the last panel of chapter 7, and then in chapter 8 this is where it supposedly should happen sometime after that. It's from chapter 8. It's from chapter 8.
Actually stayed in the novel to happen later, so it would actually be before them anyways.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've completely skipped it out. Then
I'm right.
Except for, actually, straight after there are some, like you can see here. This is the first panel that appears in the You see him transform. Actually,
do you have a link to the manga?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, it doesn't. It doesn't matter.
You can't use it though, because I have the official Shonen Jump, and you have to sign in and pay money.
Oh right, okay, it doesn't matter.
So even if I linked you wouldn't be able to get on. But anyways, here is this is the exact panel straight after him transforming. This is Sasuke looking at Momoshiki, and guess what? There's no stream.
We don't know if that's from Sasuke's perspective.
What do you mean? You asked me to send the panel straight after. This is straight after he transforms, and you can see him still doing weird transformation things in the panel directly after that. This is direct contradiction to this novel, and you're saying it's canon. It's not canon. Well, no, it's been changed. They removed it from the actual main canon, official Boruto manga, anime, and film.
No, look, it's still
that is my point.
Timeline. And look,
that is my point. Everything, all the events that you're recounting has not been included.
You still haven't proved it. It's from Sasuke.
Yes, I have. Look, look. He's looking. You can see in the one panel alone where Sasuke is, where he's looking in the direction he's looking, which is at Momoshiki, and then you can see Momoshiki. You don't see any stream. You can actually see every single character in the one panel. Are you specifically ignoring the evidence?
No, it needs to be from Sasuke's vision. You haven't told me what scan that is.
I did. I literally the first of the 3 that I just sent.
Okay, the first of the 3.
So if you go back 3, it has a whole field view of everything that's going on. Do you see any chakra lines there? Do you see any chakra lines there?
Oh no, is it okay? Is it a scan with like?
This is the scan directly after.
Okay, is it a scan of like Boruto, Naruto, and then there's like Sasuke in the was like Darawi, like I think that's.
It's got everybody in the top. Yeah, it's got everybody in the top, and then in the middle you see Sasuke. So you see him looking at Momo, and then you see Momo.
This is my point. Look, so just because I'm looking at somebody doesn't mean it's from a perspective. I can look at you.
No. But in the top panel, you can
prove that Sasuke's perspective. We can actually, I think we can see Sasuke right next to.
No, but what you're telling me that based on the events of the novel, it should have straight after his transformation included a panel that showed Sasuke was clearly seeing the stream of chakra. But in the panel directly after, we don't see that. What we do see is that's been removed. Because if we did see what you're saying, then it would have been in the story. No, I've always been consistent with my story that your story is not included in the Boruto manga. My narrative that I'm stating has been, and it is proven.
I want the judge to listen to this, right? So what the actual claim is, right? Like, I just need to prove that it fits into the actual narrative, right?
Now, and it doesn't. It's been removed.
Sasuke uses his Rinnegan. I mean, he's the only one who can. He sees the actual streams, like, from Momoshiki, like, you know, him draining, like, chakra from beyond his dimension, right? But in the manga, we don't see it from his perspective, right? And this is a narrator stating it, meaning that it's not like it didn't happen, right? So essentially, what I'm trying to get at right here is like it's not a contradiction, right? Because like there's no point, right, where the streams don't actually exist because we never see it from Sasuke's perspective. I mean, as long as I can prove that it actually fits into the narrative in any shape, way, or form, and there's no contradiction, right? Then that's fine. And I think I've done that. Judge. And I used that example of like, you know, something can be stated. Like I also used that. Definitely. Do you remember that whole like thing about like, you know, if something stayed in like that book, like somebody can blow up a star, right? And it's not like shown in like the manga or something. Doesn't mean the actual statement itself isn't canon. And also, you didn't actually rebuttal the corporate canon timeline thing. Do you agree with that?
What's the coordinate? Did you posted the scan for it? Did you?
I sent.
Yeah, but we never actually explained that because you moved on.
Okay, if you scroll up, right?
I can't see where it is. Do you want to send it again?
It takes a while. Look, if you scroll up, right, it wasn't like really, it wasn't that long ago, right? If you keep scrolling up, there's like 2 scans for the actual like, sorry for the timeline.
Yeah, but like no one speaks Japanese, so what does this mean?
Oh, it's a corporate canon timeline. So like, what happened was basically
of what?
Biz, right? What happened was right. It's a corporate thing. So like to
1,
sell
2, 3,
actual,
4, 5. Okay.
To actually sell the like novels and stuff, right?
Yeah, I get that, but you have to explain it for everyone else.
All right. Okay. So for anybody who doesn't understand, right, the corporate canon timeline, right, was created by like not just this, but like Shueisha, right, and they kind of like create this timeline where they had to put the novels on, and for them to understand how the story functions, and also how they're gonna sell it and stuff, so other people also understand the corporate canon timeline. And this is the main reason why like everybody considers the novels canon. Does that make sense? So like. If you look at the first one, right, the first one is the old one, right? The old one shows the Boruto movie novelization, right? I mean, the second one is a newer one with the Rasuda novels that came out earlier last year, which actually precedes the whole like not just the movie, right? The manga and the anime. So it's like the newest actual version, and it's still shown on there, meaning that they still consider it canon. Can you explain that for me, Hapi? Why is it still on there?
Yeah, so like I said before, just like a filler, just because it says that the filler's canon doesn't necessarily mean it's all canon, every single event in the actual story. The only things that would be considered canon in a filler is if it was stated from the manga. For example, Kakashi was stated to cut lightning, and because that filler episode is considered filler, but because it's based on a statement from the manga, which was that Guy said that Kakashi cut lightning, it was technically that anything that's got to do with that particular statement would be canon because it's canonic with the actual story stating that Kakashi was indeed able to cut lightning. So it's not contradicting the main story or the main plot or the main canon. Whereas if it's not mentioned in the actual main story, the main manga, the main canon, then and they've changed the events, then that would indicate that it's either been retcon or it's filler. It's not opinion. That's what happens often.
Look, the way you're judging what is canon, right?
And I gave another example of that.
Due to contradiction, right? Or whether, right? No, sorry. You're basing it on whether it fits the narrative or something, right?
Well, let's look at another example then. With Kaguya episode 460, right? It states that it's mixed canon, but it's talking about Kaguya when she first got chakra, and it explains her backstory. Is everything canon in that? No, some of it's filler. But what we do know is canon is anything that was stated in the manga, which was stated that she was the first person to obtain chakra, and that's some of the things that you see in the filler. And so the manga supports the filler and the filler supports the manga. Whereas what you're stating is that everything in the novels is 100% canon.
No, I said it's, look, what I'm saying, right, that now we're talking about actual movie novelization, right? I'm saying that it would be considered canon. What you're doing is you're kind of like using like your like opinion and stuff, right? You're trying to say that, well, some things would be canon, some things wouldn't, based off like.
It's not an opinion because that's what it states on multiple different. When you actually look up which episodes are fillers or not, they have statements saying it's mixed canon or not.
Well, no, I know exactly. Actually, what they don't, it's never officially stated what's mixed canon or not, right? But it's like his fan thing. So what happens is like you have like certain fans who like, oh, well, some things don't make sense, so they kind of have to use their own like initiative, right? And they have to use their own kind of like head canon to kind of assume what's more canon than something else. But inherently,
well, yeah, like in the filler episodes, Naruto can use the flying thunder god.
Like I said,
is that canon? Japan, no, right? It's not. It's not part of the main story.
No, like when you talk about
you never see him using the flying Raijin again. But there's multiple examples of people doing things that they shouldn't be able to in the main story.
So now the actual movie novel, like I did say earlier, it was like a case by case thing. But like if you take the movie novelization, right, the movie novelization actually fits into it, like because it hasn't. So all I'm proving with this scan here is, right, I'm not saying that it's inherently canon just based off that. This is like a supporting evidence. This shows that it hasn't been retconned because it's still shown on there, right? And also, the main argument is based off what I said prior. And the other argument is that it doesn't actually contradict the actual feat, because you brought up like one feat that might contradict it, but I rebutted that and proved that it doesn't inherently have to be a contradiction. It's just we don't see it from
No, I brought up several feats and they contradict the novel.
No, you only brought that feat.
Because the exact statements in the novel don't follow the same storyline in the Boruto manga. Because you said that straight after his transformation, you see Sasuke and his perspective of the Rinnegan. That was removed from the novel. And even though you see Sasuke and he's looking and all this kind of stuff, they chose specifically not to actually include that in the manga. They also chose to ignore it in the anime. They also chose to not include that in the movie version of the novel.
Just because they didn't include doesn't make it non-canon.
Yeah, but when things that come out after a novel or things that have yes, and it's also possible that things become retconned because it's happened in multiple different other fictions.
For my argument, right, all I need to prove is that it's possible at all, right? And if it's possible, right, and if it's and it can fit into the timeline, then it's not a contradiction.
But it's not possible because it didn't happen. Not in the main manga.
Just because it's not seen doesn't mean it didn't happen. And the Boruto movie novelization is like an extension, and it kind of talks about this more because we don't see it from Sasuke's perspective. In the actual novel, it states, right, that Sasuke saw the actual stream, right? But in the manga and anime,
in the fan translation, we don't even know if that's from the official.
No, because you're the one bringing this point up. Do you have the kanji for it?
Do you have the kanji for it? Because it's actually you that have to prove that it was canon.
Look, my original premise was right. My premise was, oh well, the actual.
But it does help my premise that you're basing it off a fan translation that's potentially wrong. You don't have the original kanji. You don't have the original text to double source it to prove it. You also no, hear me out. So it's not in the manga. It's not in the anime. It's not in the movie, and it's coming from a fan translation. This sounds really dodgy.
Okay, look, and I'm gonna.
It's that simple.
So look. My premise was that the movie novelization would be canon because it's on the official canon corporate timeline, right? And then you said, wait a minute, it's not canon because this one feat about him draining chakra, right? It doesn't actually happen. So you're the one claiming, you're the one using this feat as a contradiction.
Okay, well, do you want me to show you an example of how he actually drains planets? Do you want me to show you a scene specifically that he... No, I'll show you in the story how he does that. And I can prove that to you, but it's also related to our next debate. I can disprove everything you've said. I can show you how he does it, but it doesn't actually do it in the method that is explained in the novel or the way that you're explaining. He does it in a different way altogether, and it's not by draining through streams of chakra. That is not how he does it.
Whoever the judges, I want them to listen.
No, do you want I've got to establish that point because you told me that I have to prove that he doesn't drain stars. So this is very relevant. So I'll bring it up now so I don't have to do it in the main debate anyways. So the point is for example, what?
Okay, I just want to tell you judge something, right? So, oh wait, fuck. I'm trying to remember what I said.
Well, thanks for cutting me off for no reason. Well, anyways, here is the Shirenu Sekai, okay? that means, for people that don't understand, the unidentified planet. This is the planet that you see Momoshiki. Yeah, but the point is that they eat the fruit from all these trees. Do you see that? And that's how they drain planets. They don't do it through this chakra stream that you're talking about. The narrative has changed, and you can see it. Oh, look, finally an adequate harvest. And it even states in the Boruto manga that the way that they no, don't cut me off. The way that they actually manage to drain planets is through gardening, and that's a direct statement. They actually state that.
Okay.
And that would suggest that it's not actually Momoshiki who does the draining. It is the trees that do the draining of the planet. They absorb the energy from the planet and they convert it into a chakra fruit. That wouldn't scale Momoshiki. Okay. If anything, this directly contradicts the story and the narrative that is in the novels. And this is confirmed by the movie, the anime, and the manga. So I'm going to bring up the other panel that I was going to share.
It's funny.
That talks about
the fact that third Boruto novel, right? So this actual scene is based off the novel that they adapted, right? But that's not even the main issue.
This is from the Boruto manga.
This is a completely different issue. This is him harvesting fruits, right? The feat I'm talking about, right?
No, it's actually him devouring planets using the fruits plus the trees. But it's not him that devours them. Once the divine tree is finished absorbing everything, it turns into a fruit. So I have another panel that further supports this. If you read the panel, it says it's the tree that devours the planet, and then he eats the fruit of the tree. And then it further states in the next panel that they are alien parasites. And they survive to devour a planet. That's like literally what they do.
Wait. To make it quicker, right? I got like 5 more minutes, and y'all can conclude this.
Okay, let me speak now because he's spoken already. Okay. This is a completely different feat. He's talking about Momoshiki harvesting planets. The other feat is actually stated that he was draining chakra.
No, I'm not harvesting. I'm talking about absorb, and the panel says absorb. It doesn't say harvest.
No, this is okay. Yeah, yes, it is. It says like harvest, right? And so
no, not that panel. I'm talking about the one from the manga. It actually recorrects that statement by saying once the divine tree is finished absorbing everything. That's the method he uses to absorb energy from planets.
Okay.
So what you're suggesting is completely headcanon to the original story.
No, Judge. So essentially, what's happening is, right, I brought that the movie novelization was canon, right, and I showed it on the timeline and stuff. He's claiming it is a contradiction, and then he uses this fan translation, right? He's the one using the actual fan translation to show a contradiction. So doesn't he need the law to prove it? What? He's the one claiming it. Why? He's the one claiming the contradiction using that. Surely he's the one who needs a law, right? Because it's a fan translation.
Well, in the beginning, what did y'all establish about fan translations? If I remember correctly,
he's the one saying that you need a raw because it's a fan translation. But it was his he's the one assuming.
No, all I said was that you can't. It doesn't look like it's legitimate with your argument when you're basing your argument off a fan translation and you haven't shown where it's from.
Dude, you're the one using. I'm just claiming that the movie.
So you're basing it off nothing then, because you haven't posted anything from the novel itself.
I posted the canon corporate timeline.
That's nothing to do with what I'm stating.
Yes, it is, because my premise is the original premise was, and you can quote me if you want, that the movie novelization was canon, not that certain fee. You're the one using this draining fee as a weird contradiction, but you can't even find a raw.
It's not a weird contradiction.
And also, even if you use that, I prove why it can still fit into the narrative. So I think I've done enough to win the debate.
All right. Well, if you think you did enough, Happy, do you think you did enough too?
No.
So Happy,
I literally wrote about everything you said. I used for all of the different scans and stuff. And he's the one.
In conclusion, everything that he shared, he didn't share anything directly from the books that would suggest that every single statement was in fact not retcon. Because retcon, as we established in the beginning, if the story had changed, which I have proven it changed, and it wasn't a part of the novel, then
I can tell you why it's.
So okay, so then how did you never argued that point?
He's in conclusion.
You never argued that point at all. You completely moved on, and I proved that it changed based on the panels and based on the story, they're completely different. They changed, and there was parts removed from the novel that were not included.
Okay, can I
and
do
so
my closing statement?
Now we know that it's actually in fact changed and it's been retconned because it wasn't in the manga, the anime, or the films.
Okay,
but it happened to be in a fan translation, so yeah.
Okay, can I use my can I do my closing statement then?
I thought that was yours before.
Oh no, it wasn't. I was just like talking about. I was talking to the judge about stuff. But okay,
he said that was your statement.
Okay, so my closing statement is right. I said my premise was that the movie novelization is canon, right? And then I provided the official canon timelines, the old one and the new one, to show it wasn't retconned. He said, "Oh well, there's a contradiction," and then he brought up like this whole feat about Momoshiki draining chakra from beyond his dimension, but he used a fan translation, so he doesn't even have the raw. He doesn't even have a raw to it, so we don't even know if it's valid, right? Number one, and even if we accept that, I proved why it actually fits into the narrative, and it's not a contradiction because the actual narrator in the novel states that Sasuke is draining chakra, right, from outside his dimension. But this is the narrator speaking, right? And it's saying that Sasuke sees this with his Rinnegan, meaning it's from his perspective. Now, in the actual anime and manga, right, the actual when he's absorbing the actual chakra and stuff, right, it's not shown because it's not shown from his perspective. So
it's not canon.
all I need to prove, yeah, right, for my thing to function, right, is that it's possible for it to happen. If it's possible for it to happen, there's not a contradiction to it. Because his contradiction is based off it didn't happen. But if it could not shown from Sasuke's perspective, then it actually works. And also, like I said, he doesn't have a role for it, so even know if it exists. And also, then I also use that analogy of if something stayed in the data book, like a character can blow up a star, right? And there's like no actual like contradiction, right? So like let's say like in the data book there's a character state who can blow up the book, right? The actual statement would still be canon because it'll be written by the whoever the author is. It doesn't matter if it's an outlier or a hyperbole. That's how I'm closing off.
All right, so let me just start off with this. This was really good for both. Y'all both did good. So yeah, and we might need like other people's thoughts on like who won this too, because my thoughts are still conflicted. But I'll just say like this, keep it simple. Rhetorically, Bullet did good, right? To like the beginning and the end. But rhetorically in general, I think Happy won rhetorically because I'm not gonna lie to you, Bullet. He convinced. Happy was convincing. Like he made like he was convincing me.
What, I ask what he convinced you on.
No. Wait. That's why you didn't let me finish. That's why you didn't let me finish. I never said that. No, I said Happy won rhetorically, right? Bullet, if you would let me explain, man, I still think Happy did really great on his argument. But just from your own first argument alone, I think that you won argumentatively because you were right. You were right from the jump. That's why I think you won rhetorically because he dragged you away from your original argument, right? But
yeah,
Bullet, you won your whole argument was better because you literally. That's why I gave him the rhetoric point because you didn't have to go on the tangent. You didn't have to prove anything. You know that, right? Which literally all you had to do was you explain what a novel was. It was a novel just to add on, right, to the manga. Yeah, you said a novel is just an add-on to the manga, and then unless if something could be shown, it doesn't matter if this nigga can blow up like 5 dimensions. If it doesn't matter if it doesn't have to be shown. If it's shown there and it's directly not contradicted, then it's fine. What Happy did, he didn't really bring up contradictions at all, and you did prove while it was still fitting there.
Yes, I
but
did.
Listen, I mean, okay.
He claimed that the method of absorbing was specifically from using his chakra and stars. I completely contradicted that.
You didn't.
I did. I showed the different methods.
Wait, that's exactly why I'm not gonna have like everybody talk because that's like it's gonna get loud and shit. But okay, so for rhetoric, right? Rhetorically, I think Happy won. Argumentatively, I think Bullet won. But for rhetorically, right? So this is only for the rhetorically one. If y'all think Bullet won, put a 1. If y'all think Happy won, put a 2. This is only for rhetoric right now.
Are we?
Okay, so yeah, I can go and scan. Yeah, go and scan. This is not who won the whole debate. This is not who won the whole debate. This is just
Democratic thing, sure.
Yeah, this is just only for rhetoric for now.
Okay.
Okay. Because honestly, I mean,
can people not like it or something? Is that why it's not?
You said what?
No one's reacted to it.
Yeah.
Is nobody gonna do it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, go to Calcs and go to Calcs and go to Calcs. Everybody.
Guys,
Okay.
go to Calcs.
Oh yeah. Oh, they can't see it. They can't see it. They can't see it. They
Yeah,
can't.
do
So
it
go
in
to.
like.
All right. And this is only just for like rhetorically now. It's like who just sounded better, who convinced y'all better, basically. Yeah, I'm gonna say because I think like if we're doing like who was trying to convince someone better, I'd have to give like Happy was more convincing. But
I think he went off the premise a little bit. Like I don't know.
yeah. That's the thing. But what he did to you was your original premise. But wait. But let me explain to you why you could have stomped. Your original premise that would have won you the whole debate. You didn't have to answer any of his questions. You realize that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, what he did to you was he made you make a whole nother argument. He made you y'all went in a whole tangent, which he was doing on purpose. He confused you to like draw you away from that. So why I gave you the argument point because you brought your original premise back up, and that's really good. If you would have never brought it back up, I would have to give it to him because he literally dragged you. The only reason I'm giving
that's why I wanted to talk to you. I want to go back to the original thing because he was trying
to yeah. And listen, that's the thing. When he took you off your original premise, that's why I gave him that's why I rhetorically think he won. Right?
Yeah.
So for argumentatively, you would have won. You did win argumentatively, but rhetorically, like Happy, you definitely put the brakes on him. So Happy, you definitely okay. How about this? Happy, you debated better than him, but you just had the better argument. It's just simple as that. And it's up to y'all to like decide which one you think decides who wins the debate. But yeah, that's just what I think. Yeah, because it was really close. I mean that's.
This is just for rhetorical part, isn't it? Is this just a rhetorical part?
You said what?
Rhetorical part. That's what you said.
Yeah. That's just for rhetorical. Yep.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. But okay. By the way, everybody, rhetoric means who convinced you more, like who was like more aggressive. Who controlled the debate? Who controlled the debate? And honestly, I do think that Happy was controlling the debate because he was able to drag the bullet off his argument.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that wasn't relevant.
Because rhetoric does not mean that his argument was. Rhetoric is like basically being able to argue for like 10 versus Goku, and you destroy someone like rhetoric. Like you just convince the crowd better.
Yeah.
And I do think Happy did a better job. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, right? Argumentatively, it's like
it was my fault. I let him go off on that tangent.
Yeah.
I tried to drag him.
Back. Yeah, but the thing is, Happy though. But the thing is, Bullet. I'm not taking anything away from you. Your argument was right. Your argument was good. All you had to yeah. So all you had to stay with. All you had to like if you would have just told him I'm not answering anything else. Because the thing is, right? He stopped mid sentence when you said, I'm gonna. You still haven't debunked. Wow, you still haven't debunked my main premise, right? Of like, if it's not completely contradicted, then it doesn't matter what's shown, this, that, and the third. He didn't really give an answer for that. But he kept dragging you away from it. That's why I just, you know what? So yeah. But yeah, so basically, that's how I see it as. So for now, I would just have to decide like who would like win the debate as a whole, and that would just be up to like everybody in here. I can like type or just say because I don't like being biased at all, right? Well, yeah. I mean, okay. Y'all say Bullet won. Okay, Bullet won the argument. But if you debate, just yeah, I'm gonna say it keeps swinging, but I don't. I mean, I don't. That's the thing. I always. Yeah, give your final vote. Yeah. And
I won that. I proved my premise. think that's it.
Yeah. But basically, bro, yeah, like, and Happy. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You debated. That was probably like the best debate I've ever heard you. Like, that's like probably the best I've ever heard you debate. Because like, I guess you didn't like at first like what happened first, and so you like the way you hammered in your points and the way you like attacked them. That was great. That was good. That was really good. I'm actually impressed. That was really good. Cause I didn't expect that out of you. Yeah, you like.
Okay.
That was good.
I actually had to stop recording though because it got too staticky for me. So when I first was trying to explain my points in the one before, I couldn't understand anything that anyone was saying. So that's why I was able to listen better in this one because I got rid of my recording. I'll just rely on Craigbot.
All right, and Bullet, I'm not taking anything away from you either, bro. That's what I'm saying, but I'm not taking anything away from you either. Your opening statement was beautiful. Literally all you had to stay with. But the thing is, he just took you off of it, which is fine. Yeah.
I mean, I'll take the dub. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So yeah, I honestly have to say this.
No, but surely the debate is based off like who could actually prove their premise, not like the actual debating ability. Okay, wait. How did Happy win? How did he win if he didn't prove his premise? If he didn't actually like, because I made a premise. It's not like he.
Okay, wait. That's why. Listen. That's why I asked. Right? That's why I asked y'all. Okay. Do y'all think rhetoric is the side of the debate, or like who actually won like the verses, or like who actually won the argument? Because you can. It does like the thing is, rhetoric is just swaying the crowd. It's just being more persuasive with your arguments, and who just.
No, then you can win. Yeah. Premise, right? Because like if somebody makes a premise to win an actual debate, right, there needs to be like a premise, and there needs to be. But to win the debate, you need to actually like you need to attack somebody's premise. Otherwise, you're attacking something completely different. You can literally beat somebody on something else that they're not claiming. That's really stupid, I think.
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah, whoever just argues, not even whoever argues better, whoever just debates better in general. Like, and like who controlled the debate, really? Bullet already said that you won. Bullet already said that you won the argument. But who would have persuaded? Who would have persuaded me more? Happy definitely persuaded me more.